Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Chris. Well, we have the screen on my vice president, but my name is Christian Nunez, and so we're just gonna wait for Bear. Why don't you give him a wave? But we are going to get the program started, and I'll just go ahead and start while we have a little technical difficulties and our camera switches over. I'm Christian Nunez. I'm speaking voice you hear, the voice of God, and I'm the national president of the National Organization for Women. We see my wonderful vice president on screen right now. And we are so thrilled to welcome you to the official launch for Run for Now. So nearly 55 years ago, Now was founded on the radical idea for the women should have the same rights and privileges and protections as men. And since then, generations of feminists have inherited the fight for equality for all. And we hope Run Now is what will catapult us to the finish line. Now has fought countless battles in the name of equity and inclusion for women and sought to build a society that welcomed and recognized everyone. Our foundational issues, racial justice, economic justice, ending violence against women, reproductive freedom, constitutional equality, and LGBTQIA+ rights create the ecosystem of truth, equity, and justice that guides us and inspires our work. As intersectional feminists, we know that our diversity is our strength. We know that the structural systems of oppression in our society impact different communities in different ways. From protecting women's reproductive health and equal pay to immigration reform, the importance of intersectional feminist voice is needed now more than ever, especially when we seek our 6 core issues dominating headlines every single day. Run Now is a unique program that we specifically developed for our members to help prepare them to assume positions of political power as candidates and professional campaigners. We are so pleased to assume positions of political power as candidates and professional campaigners. And we are so honored to be partnering with the country's industry experts like Emerge and Emily's List, who will equip Now members with the resources, skills, and insights needed to successfully campaign in national, state, and local elections. This program will help empower and mobilize our grassroots network of activists to fight for equality rights by advancing a feminist agenda. We are proud to have a deep well of more than 100,000 passionate members who have worked diligently of getting out the vote for feminist candidates across the country. A record of women and LGBTQIA+ candidates ran for office in 2020. And we are excited to keep the momentum going by developing the next generation of leaders who carry the torch for now icons like Representative Shirley Chisholm, Dr. Paula Mori, Betty Friedan, and Catherine East. To achieve justice and gender parity, we need more feminists in decision-making positions, whether that's a member of Congress, a city council member, or campaign managers. We are not only organizing for and developing new leaders, but we are for a new way of leading. This new direction is feminist, intersectional, and long overdue. So again, we thank you so much for joining us today. And we are so excited as we are about to run now. We have an amazing lineup of speakers today who I know will make your decision to run a little easier. And with that, you've been looking at her beautiful face for the last 5 minutes. So I'm going to pass it over to my Vice President, Bear Atwood, for the National Organization for Women. Bear?
Thank you, Christian. I'm also so excited to be here with you all as we launch this new program for our members. I'm positive it will push our feminist agenda forward and advance our progress towards equality and justice for all. Run Now was created to change the face of politics and put feminists in position of power. To do this, we will work with the best in the business to help prepare you to run as candidates and/or professional campaign operatives. You already have the passion. Run Now gives you access to the tools to turn that passion into real change. We encourage you to register for whichever track you feel could help you do the most good. The 2020 midterm elections will be here before we know it, and sitting on the sidelines is a luxury women can't afford. Between a conservative Supreme Court intent on overturning Roe and states that are waging wars against women, people of color, and voting rights, there's too much at stake. We need you to run now. Now I'd like to introduce Jamie Maniscalco, the Program Director for Run Now, who will share more details about the program.
Thanks, Bear. Hi, everybody. I think that we have some stuff going on with the different kind of views, so I hope everybody's good at looking at the grid view. Before we get started, I'm going to share Megan, could you please help us by sharing our awesome 1-minute video that explains a little bit about our brand new program? So we'll wait for that video to start. Thank you. This is the part of the evening where if we were at a real gala, we'd all be like, woo! So like, woo! Yay! Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us this evening. My name is Jamie Maniscalco, pronouns are she and her, and I am the director of Run Now. I'm really excited to talk about this new program. Basically, Run Now is set to be a program that is exclusively for Now members. You've seen that a few times in the videos, but that is something that we are making unique for our members, our membership here with Now. This program is kicking off today with this launch party, but next Tuesday, we are going to have our first training, which our partner Emerge will be leading, and our president Ashanti is here. Our president of Emerge, Ashanti, is here to talk about that. We have a second training kicking off in June as well, and that will be hosted by Emily's List, and Alyssa Fetter is here to talk about that. But the point that I want to bring across more than anything else is this is a new iteration on Now's legacy. This is a chance for everybody to take their passion and activism that they've had for all these years, running phone banks, marches, voter registration drives, launching canvases. You have the tools already, and we want to just put you on the right track to get you activated to help run and win in 2020. The goal of this program is to train 2,022 Now members by the midterm elections in 2022. The one other unique specific part of this training program that makes it different than others, again, it's only for Now members, but we are offering 2 different tracks of training. There are going to be trainings that are specifically geared towards folks and Now members who are interested in potentially running for office. These are trainings that we recommend to people who may have just started to think about, I really should be on school board, and for trainings for people like our friend Hillary, who is here, who are actively running for the General Assembly. So throughout the span of June to December of this year, there'll be approximately 23 to 25 trainings. We'll have 2 in June, 2 in July, we'll have a break in August, and then for September, October, November, and December, we'll have about 4 trainings a month. And again, every month we will offer some trainings for those who are interested in becoming a campaign operative, and for those who are interested in becoming and learning a candidate or learning how to run for office. I would now like to kick it over to my partner in crime, Monique Alcala. She is the chief of staff here at Now, and she came on board right after the 2020 elections. She was actually the director, the coalition's director for the Biden-Harris campaign in the state of Virginia. And that's how we have crossed paths before working on politics in Virginia. As a coalition's director, she organized hundreds of events with like text messaging, voter contact, and GOTV type of events to focus on communities that historically are underrepresented in the Democratic elections and politics. She has a wide experience of knowledge and has worked as a senior advisor, a political director, and a fundraiser, and a president for different organizations and campaigns. And Run Now is her brainchild. So she thought of the name while she was doing her favorite thing to do, which is running. And we had a conversation shortly thereafter, and I was honored to come on board and help execute this program. So with that, I'll kick it to Monique, and I just want to also say thank you so much to all of our speakers and to our expert trainers that will be partnering with us throughout the year, and to all of the Now members and Now chapter presidents or local chapter presidents, state chapter presidents, leaders, people on the board of all levels. Thank you for everybody for joining us tonight.
Holy cow. I'm a little speechless. I didn't expect that. Thank you so much, Jamie. It's been such a pleasure working with you throughout this project. And I'm so excited to be here for the launch of Run Now. Like I said, I referred to it as a little baby document the other day, and it's been awesome to see this thing really evolve. And I'll tell you that the program was really inspired by our members, and it was created by our members, including Jamie, who has done an amazing job and who has done amazing work for the last decade, over a decade, working in politics throughout the country. For over 55 years, our Now community has really been on the front lines, as Jamie was saying, with organizing protests and phone banks. And so we really wanted to create a space to continue to serve as a continuation of feminist disruption throughout this program. Now, before I do introduce our first speaker, Delegate Hala Ayala, who is my personal wonderful friend and amazing person who inspires me every day, I do think that it's really appropriate for us to also recognize the people that really helped us stand up this initiative and shared their experiences of when they were running for office, as they're currently serving for office. So those experiences and also the feedback they gave us, and just sort of gave us thoughts on just overall about what they thought that we should be covering with this program. So obviously, thank you to our speakers, Ashanti, Elisa, Rep. Lewis Ward, Delegate Ayala, Nina, John, Hillary, to Christian and Bear for all of your support on this project. It's been amazing. And thank you to all of the leaders who may be on this call, hopefully, that have also really inspired this program. I can't name all of them, but I will definitely give props to Triana Arnold-James out in Georgia, Jeanette Geeter, Nikki Belosi, Clarissa Wright-Bloom, Anjali Marotra, who is running in New Jersey, Kristen Herring and Alexia Muse from Austin Now, who are just getting their chapter started, Rita Brown out in Michigan, and Elaine Holtz out in California. And also huge props and thank you to Harmony Bullock and Sasha Schroff, who were our two interns that helped us really stand up this program and had amazing impact in ensuring that we got all of the things that we did done on this program. Thank you to our staff, the digital team, the communications team, for all of the work that they did to bring us to this moment. And then thank you to our expert trainers. We have quite a few people. I'll name just a few. Obviously, Emerge and Emily's List, Speakeasy Political, and NDTC, OpsNext, and Campaign X. We have lots of wonderful expert trainers that are going to be with us throughout the training for the rest of 2021 as we reach our goal. So again, a million times thank you all for all of the work that you've done to help us launch this event. Now I will stop speaking, and I have the great pleasure of introducing my friend and my fellow Virginian from who is running for Lieutenant Governor, Delegate Hala Ayala. So Hala is the daughter of Salvadorian and North African immigrant father and an Irish Lebanese mother. She has worked as a cybersecurity specialist for over 20 years with the Department of Homeland Security to protect our nation's information systems. Hala has been a women's rights activist for over a decade. She was the president of Prince William County Now. She was appointed by Governor Terry McAuliffe to serve on the Women's Advisory Council in 2017, she helped organize Virginia's attendance at the first Women's March in Washington. Hala was elected to the House of Delegates in 2017 and currently represents the 51st District, which covers parts of Prince William County. And she is, like I mentioned, she is an outstanding candidate for Virginia in the Lieutenant Governor's race. If you're a Virginia resident, hopefully you're going to vote in the primary on June 8th. But I will kick it over to Hala.
Hi, I'm Delegate Hala Ayala, and I am running for Lieutenant Governor here right in Virginia. I just want to thank NowPAC for your endorsement for my campaign for LG and all the work you've done to support me. I couldn't be here without you. Look, I wish I could be here with you today, but my primary is June 8th. We're talking to voters. We're getting out the vote. So this is why I could not be here with you in person. Voters have been voting for over a month. Our work is not done just yet. But today I'm coming to congratulate you on such an amazing launch of Run Now. As you've heard, this is a unique program for only Now members. It's like a little exclusive club. And you are in good company. We are the Organization of Women's Rights for giants like Shirley Chisholm, Catherine East, Eileen Hernandez, and all who've been game changers, legacy makers, and we just stand on their shoulders. They've influenced change from elected office to behind the scenes, and we couldn't do it without them. And we can't do this without you. Look, we're planting seeds for in carrying on the legacy of these game changers. And we need you to be a participant. So we're bringing together rock star partner organizations and trainers who will help you get the latest tools and resources and technical. weeks of office or to run a campaign in 2022. Encourage every in the Run Now training. When I ran for the House of Delegates, it wasn't so easy to do. I pushed, I took training with Emerge, I, got the rules of the road. It just was so instrumental in helping me navigate the activities that I needed to do to be successful. And it prepared me to run, and my eyes were wide open. So you too can gain these tools to learn the campaign methods, to know what it's going to be like on every day or every day on the trail. It is not an easy thing to do. This is why this training will matter. I'm so glad to know that now members are going to be taken care of, that you'll have these at your fingertips and all the resources. And, you will have the same chance that I did. And that is why this is so, pivotal and important. So, for instance, let me just choose one thing that I want to just share with you what I learned that I did not know in advance. How to talk about yourself and bring your personal story to the forefront. I learned about this and how powerful personal stories are and how that resonates with everyday voters. And that is something that you would not know without training, how to do that and be effective with that storytelling. So I'm happy to know that that you're going to be partnering with leading political organizations to ensure that any Now member who wants to run is ready. This is so important. We're planting seeds for the future, and we couldn't do this without you. Look, my last plea. It takes a village for success to happen. This is your village. It's time to take activism one step further. It's time to prepare for 2022. This is an ongoing process, especially in the Commonwealth of Virginia. We vote every year. So please sign up for one of these first two trainings. These sessions will be in June. These will be with leading political minds, giving you the tools you need. This is sort of your master class. So the link is going to be down in the chat. I hope you sign up. It's time not to let this moment pass you by, but to be part of this movement and run now. So with that, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining Run Now, to be a part of the political process. Democracy is not a spectator sport, and honey, you can't sit on the sidelines. I look forward to seeing the work that you will do for the future of not only the great state of Virginia, but across this nation. Be well, be blessed. Take care. Bye.
Again, that would be like another woo if this was real life. So yay. It is amazing to see Hala. I do a lot of work in Virginia and have in the past, and she is an Emerge sister. She's a Now member. She's a Now endorsed candidate, and she's kind of one of the front runners right now for the lieutenant governor race in Virginia. So we're really excited for her. I now have the absolute pleasure of introducing one of my greatest friends and mentors, Ashanti Golar. She is the president of Emerge, and she is nationally recognized as a political strategist who's been doing this work for over 15 years. Before she was the president of Emerge, she was also the political director of Emerge, and she helped to find Emerge. She was one of the founders of Emerge Nevada. I always mess it up and she always corrects me. So she has been part of this Democratic field that has been recruiting and training women, Democratic women, women of color to rise through the ranks. And I will let her talk a little bit about all the success Emerge has had. We are very excited for this opportunity to work with Emerge and their expert trainers to make sure Now members have the tools from experts in the field. And the last thing I would love to say about Ashanti is she's also the founder of this podcast called The Brown Girls Guide to Politics. She's won some awards for it. It's been in like Time Magazine, Teen Vogue, and Vanity Fair. And it's really cool. Like she's done interviews with Congresswoman Deborah Hayala, who is now Secretary of Interior Affairs, excuse me. There are some really amazing interviews on there, even Stacey Abrams, so I would check it out if you have the time. So Ashanti, thank you. And thank you for talking about our Run Now and Emerge partnership.
Thank you, Jamie. I'm so excited to be here this evening. Hello, everyone. I'm Ashanti Golar. I am the president of Emerge, and we are so excited to be a partner for this amazing Run Now program. When Jamie reached out to me, I immediately knew that we wanted to be a partner, because one of the things that I say all the time is that activists make some of the best elected officials. I think about Emerge New Mexico alum Deb Haaland, who started off volunteering on the Obama campaign. And as you heard little sis Jamie say, she's now our first Indigenous cabinet secretary. I think of Emerge Georgia alum, Congresswoman Lucy McBath, who tells everyone, I was just a mom, a wife, a flight attendant, and my life changed the minute that I lost my son to gun violence. She became an activist, and now she sits in Congress and oversees the committee on gun violence prevention. And I think about my amazing Emerge Virginia sister that we just heard from, Hala Ayala. These are some of the amazing women in the Emerge network. We focus on recruiting and training women at all levels of office. But when I also think about why this partnership with NOW and Emerge works, is the new vision for NOW is so in line with what we're doing at Emerge. We celebrated 15 years of Emerge nationally last year, and we're embarking on our next 15 with Emerge 2035. And a key part of that is training the women of the new American majority, Black, Brown, and Indigenous women, women of color, young women, unmarried women, LGBTQ women. Happy Pride, everyone, because we know that these weren't just the activists and voters that helped propel the victories that we saw in 2020. They were also some of the most exciting candidates on the ballot who are transforming what our cities and communities look like. The second part is called Lift as You Climb. At Emerge, we've trained over 4,500 women to run for office. 2,400 have been elected, and currently over 1,000 of them serve in elected office. But we want those women to continue to climb up the ladder. And we also know when they do that, we have to reach back and make sure there's another woman to fill their spot. Because if we don't do that, we don't make progress. So we're always looking for the next woman who can take that seat when another woman rises. And of course, doing what we do best at Emerge, and that's repowering political structures. If you look at the 4 states that have chambers that are majority women, Emerge has affiliates in Nevada, Colorado, New Mexico, and Oregon. Emerge women help make that happen by flipping those seats. The Boston City Council, the first woman to ever serve on the Boston City Council in the early 2000s was Ayanna Pressley. It's now majority women and majority women of color, and that is due to Emerge alums. And during this time, I think about how important criminal justice reform is. And I think about Sheriff Kristen Graziano, who's the first woman and first LGBTQ person to be a sheriff in South Carolina. We have so much work to do to make change in our country. And we also know our elected leaders need great campaign staff, and they also need those great campaign operatives, just at all levels. And then when they get elected, serving with them as well. But to do that, it takes all of us working together. We need these strong partnerships. So I'm excited about Run Now, and I'm looking forward to having all of you join the training that Emerge is going to do, just to give you those tools, the resources, the tips that you need to take that step forward on your political journey. It's simple. We need more women running for office if we're going to continue to change the face of politics in our country. And I know that NOW members are some of the best people to be able to do that. So I look forward to seeing you at the training, and hopefully some of you all will become a part of the Emerge family. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashanti. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate it. So next up, we have someone joining us who has her own personal story to tell. Representative Regina Lewis Ward is the current House District Representative in 109. So her district covers Henry County, Newton County, and Rockdale County, and she is a member of Georgia Now. I have an amazing fact about Miss Representative Lewis Ward. She was the only Black woman in America to flip a state legislative seat from red to blue in 2020. Many of our Black sisters were incumbents who held their seats, or primary challengers who won a Democratic seat that was there. But Representative Lewis Ward was the only one in 2020 who was able to flip a seat from red to blue in a state house chamber. And it was in Georgia, where we saw so much go down this year. She's a native of Brooklyn, New York, and she moved to Georgia to retire 20 years after civil service. She was actually an AFSCME union member while she was up there. So she comes from a background of civil service. And as soon as she got to Georgia, she was retired, but she was bored and she became a city councilwoman. And now she is here as state representative of District 109 in Georgia and a Georgia Now member, here to talk about her experience. Representative Lewis Ward, it is an honor to have you here, and we're so glad that you ran in 2018, and when it didn't work out, you ran again in 2020 and got the job done. So without further ado, please welcome Representative Lewis Ward.
Thank you so much, Jamie, for that wonderful, unexpected introduction. And thank you to all the Now leaders for inviting me tonight to just share a little bit about campaigning and training and why that is so, so important to a successful campaign and ultimately a win. So we know campaigning is really the main way that we connect with the public, whether it's knocking on someone's door to ask for their vote, or to ask them to attend an event, or even to ask them to donate to our campaign. That interaction could be a good interaction, or it could very easily go south. And you can walk away feeling like all is lost. And that a lot of that has to do with the training that you have had. Campaign training will give you all the aspects of running the business of campaigning. Many people jump into the race and don't realize that campaigning can be like a business. And training, most businesses that train their employees are successful businesses. If we think about going into a Chick-fil-A, and something that all of their workers will say is, "My pleasure, my pleasure." And it doesn't really matter what location you go to. After they serve you, they'll say, "My pleasure." That's called messaging. And the same message is said across the Chick-fil-A space. And so we now know that they are very polite and that they will say to us, "My pleasure." And campaign training, messaging is a part of campaign training, because we want to know what to say to who and how to say it. Because you can say something to one voter and they will receive it well, but that same messaging may not work for someone else. Another part of campaign training is fundraising. And if you think about walking into McDonald's, they fundraise all the time. We don't think of it as fundraising, but when we ask for a regular meal, what do they ask us? Can I supersize it? Right? That's them fundraising. Instead of paying the lower price, they're asking you for more. And a lot of times we say, "Okay, fine." And so training will help us know how to fundraise. And also, when we think about, we may go into, let's just say Old Navy. And when you get to the register and you're ready to check out, what do they ask you? For your zip code or for your telephone number? They are collecting data. And later, someone on the back end will analyze that data. So all these things are very, very important when we campaign, because the data will tell us where our voters are. The data will tell us who our voters are. And through training, we'll learn how to collect this data. We'll learn how to analyze the data. We'll learn about messaging. We'll learn about fundraising. And initially, it may not feel like all of this stuff is necessary. A lot of candidates may just want to get out there and knock on doors and just think that they're touching voters. But all that information that is contained in the background, or we learn, is extremely important to helping us campaign, helping us win. I think I took my first training, maybe in 2014 or 2013. I wasn't even thinking about running for office at that time. but I learned how much went into training. And that helped shape me for when I did decide to run. I am an Emerge sister, and I think that out of all the trainings that I have attended, they were all useful in their own way. However, during my boot camp with Emerge, they actually made us do a video so we can look at ourselves, so we can see ourselves give a pitch. And it's very, very helpful when you can actually watch yourself and have your classmates critique you. Um, so, as Jamie said, I am currently the state rep for District 109 in Georgia, and I'm still learning. And that's what it is. I'm still learning. Now that the training may be a little bit different because once you um, win an election, now you have to learn how to keep your seat. So the training is a little bit different, but my point is you never stop training. And so now is an excellent opportunity for anyone who's thinking about running, whether you're thinking about running in 2022 or you're thinking about running at some later time. It will give you some insight as to whether or not it's for you because you have to do the work. Um, and I would just say to um, anyone who does join now tonight and you attend the training, if you hit me up later, maybe I'll pop in on one of your training and just say hello to you. So just trust the experts, and I look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail. Thank you. I'll pop it back to you, Jamie.
Hey, Monique, and thank you so much, Representative Lewis Ward. And Monique, I will kick it to you.
Thank you, Jamie. It is my great pleasure to introduce Elisa Fader, who is the training director of Emily's List. Now, Elisa is she's a training director at Emily's List, the largest resource for women in U.S. politics. She is additionally the executive director and co-founder of Rising Organizers and Rising Organizers Action, where she and her team run introductory campaign trainings for new and emerging activists and organizers. During the 2018 midterm, she was the deputy director of training and fellowships at Priorities USA, the largest Democratic super PAC, and developed and executed trainings on digital advertising programs. Prior to her focused training roles, Elisa spent 5 years as an organizer and lobbyist at J Street, advocating for progressive foreign policy in the Middle East. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you for that introduction. It was my birthday a few weeks ago, so we have these streamers up. So in the vein of Jamie saying this is where we would go woo-woo, I figured I would sit amongst the streamers as it is a launch party. So that's my thematic contribution. I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. I'm the training director at Emily's List, and I'm really excited to be here with all of you talented prospective candidates and campaign staffers. Now reached out to us earlier this year as a training partner to teach all of you amazing grassroots organizers and crowd feminists. And as an organizer myself, I am very excited to help you all get started with your journey in politics. My job at Emily's List is to teach folks like you who are passionate about making change, and making sure that you have the tools that you need to run a winning campaign for office. So at Emily's List, we do that through our webinars, boot camps, and we also have this Ignite Change Fellowship, which is for new candidates. We have a fall fellowship in the fall if anyone wants to apply then. And we're bringing some of that expertise right to your network through the Run Now training program. So we're so excited to be here with all of you. We know that running a campaign can be hard, but that's where we come in. So we're going to teach you the skills that anyone can learn to run a campaign. We're going to start, as Jamie mentioned, with the ABCs of running a campaign in 2 weeks. Surprise, surprise, no one wakes up one day and knows how to do this stuff, as the representative just said, but you can learn. And we're going to show you how to do the research and what steps you need to take to make sure that your campaign is set up for success. Then we're going to come back and talk about our area of expertise, fundraising, which we also just heard about from the representative. Some of you may not know, but the Emily is an acronym. It is not a name. It stands for Early Money is Like Yeast, which is a baking joke. I'm a terrible baker, but I understand that yeast is very helpful for making some dough rise. And that speaks to our founders knowing that in order to get your campaign journey going, your early fundraising money is the yeast to make the rest of your dough, that's your money, rise. So we're going to come in and teach fundraising for the candidate and for the staffer. So just to close, at Emily's List, we know that government should reflect the people it serves, and we need decision makers who will fight for greater opportunity and lives for the communities they represent. That's where you all come in. We are here to teach you about politics and campaigns, but you all are the ones who are going to be showing up and showing out for your communities, and I, in advance, am very, very proud of you. So enjoy the rest of your lunch, and I'll hand it back to our lovely presenters.
Thank you so much. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce another one of our wonderful leaders in NOW. Nina Ahmed is the current interim president in Pennsylvania, and she is a former candidate for Auditor General. Nina believes in the power of people to make positive change and advocates for equity for all. She recently competed in the 2020 general election for Pennsylvania's Auditor General. She was the first person of color, immigrant, and scientist to become the Democratic nominee for a statewide executive office in the 233 years of Pennsylvania. That's amazing. She is she's the only woman of color to ever receive over 3 million votes statewide, earning more votes than trailblazing Democrats like Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Dr. Ahmed is a first-generation American scientist, former deputy mayor for public engagement for the city of Philadelphia, where she was the first Asian American woman to hold a cabinet position in any Philadelphia mayoral administration. As former president of the Philadelphia National Organization for Women, she led important efforts to fight workplace discrimination and harassment. Thank you so much for your work, Nina, and I will hand it right over to you.
Thank you so much, Monique. I am so excited to be here at this launch party for Run Now. I know how hard all of you have been working, and kudos to the leadership who got us here, to Christian, to Bear, to Jamie, to Monique, and everybody in between who've been helping to give Now a new face. I think this is a rebranding for Now, and I'm very proud to be a part of it, and I hope all of you will join us. You know, what I was asked to do is to share my experiences of having run for office and, you know, won a primary, but not the general. So I wanted to share 3 main points that I think were useful to me. I mean, it didn't work for me, but it was useful to know and note. And I hope these are the things you'll look out for in the training as well. First thing is be authentic, you know yourself. Sometimes we hide from ourselves. So know yourself, be able to tell your story with no hesitation, you know, be clear. And our previous speaker spoke about being videotaped. That's a great tool. But before that, have a conversation with yourself and be honest. I use the story, and I'm an immigrant to this country. I lived through a war as a child. That was, you know, a very formative experience for me. And that is where I use my hashtag from, leave no one behind. And that's because I lived through a war, and thankfully I was not left behind. So that's something I use everywhere I go, and I used it in my campaign. And that was the values that you bring as a politician. It's important that people see who you are, and not just your policies, not just your issues, but knowing what is driving all of that. And those are the values. The second thing is money. I am a big believer in public financing of elections, but sadly we don't have that. And so you have to be where things are, right? You have to compete where we are today. Which means that in order to get your message out, you must have money. In order to have a fantastic campaign team, you must pay them properly. In order to make sure that you're able to have coalition building, you have to share with each other. So raising money, many of us don't like to do that. And particularly women, here is again a gap. You know, we talk about the equity gap in wages. There's an equity gap in campaign finances for women as well. It is much harder for women to raise money. One, because they might not have credibility to most standard donors who look to see certain things in your past, in your background, to be able to say, oh, I'm going to put my money on this horse, right? So we have to work at double the effort that men have to do in order to get half as much money. One of my problems in my race was in the primary, it was a 6-way race in the Democratic primary. And I spent all my resources winning that. And then in the general, when the party was supposed to pick up and support you, they didn't have a coordinated campaign. There was not enough money. We did have some great supporters, including Emily's List, thankfully, and some other organizations, but it just wasn't enough to push back on me being outspent 2.58 times. That's a lot of money that was flowing in on the Republican side. So having adequate resources. And the last point I want to make is building coalitions. You can't do this alone, particularly a non-traditional candidate like me, a fierce feminist in a very traditional state as Pennsylvania, a brown immigrant in an 80% white state. So if you don't have relationships, it becomes very hard. So women were my biggest supporters, organized labor, young people, immigrant groups, and then other groups such as there's a foundation that has been supporting South Asian candidates, Impact, and they helped me a lot. So all of these resources only come together if you reach out and tell them who you are. So I urge all of you to sign up. It's going to be fun. You're going to learn life lessons, whether you choose to run or not, and you'll meet great people. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Nina. I could see your doctor and your scientist with the 3 points. I love that. You can tell she's had some training. That's what you guys will get to, everybody on this call will get to learn. Next up, I have the pleasure and honor of introducing City Councilman John Erickson. He is an advisory board member for the National Now and a West Hollywood City Council member, as in Hollywood, California. There's a Hollywood, Florida, so just figured I'd clear it up. He is one of Now's fiercest social media supporters, first of all. But more than that, he has an amazing degree. He is a graduate of Claremont Graduate University, and he has a doctorate in philosophy with a focus on American religious history and with an emphasis on women, gender, and sexuality studies. He is a lifelong champion for social and economic justice. And we are really honored to have him as a member of the community. He was also a leader of a local Now chapter at one point, and then he was running for city council, so he left it to his team there to take over. So thank you for being a leader and Now in so many different capacities, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be here with all of you, and happy Pride. John Erickson, he, him, his pronouns. To go after Nina is a feat I wouldn't wish on anyone, but following on the footstep of so many sheroes and individuals I just greatly admire. Thank you to Christian, Bear, Monique, Jamie, everyone on here. Having served on the national board and now as an advisor, I'm just so proud of the organization and the work and all the stuff that you're doing. I couldn't agree more with Nina. But going back down to the chapter level, I had the great privilege of serving as the president of the Hollywood chapter of the National Organization for Women, right over here in Los Angeles County, where we are very involved with a lot of issues, as you can imagine. And that's why this program is so critical. In Los Angeles County, we are just very lucky to have places like Emerge, Emily's List, and Now all there helping make sure that we get women and diverse communities elected to office. And that is one thing our chapter really focuses on. And it's so critical for state leaders and state presidents and chapter leaders. If you're on here right now, sign up, because this is exactly where change happens. As a local city council member, I cannot stress how critical it is to have people trained on the ground, ready to go, and what it means to run for office or what it means to help campaign for office. They're so different and they're so challenging, but the barriers that exist are there still. And that's why I'm so excited to be a part of this Run Now launch party and retweet it, repost it, whatever I got to do to get those signups, because it is such an amazing effort. one of the most important things that our local chapters can do is we're so in touch with the communities that we're a part of. We are trusted messengers for issues on racial equality, protecting Roe and versus Wade, and sexual and reproductive health, to all the things Now Just champions. And that's why it's so important that we have the tools as local chapter leaders to get people elected. Hollywood Now has elected 2 West Hollywood City Council members, myself being the second, the first being Mayor Lindsay Horvath, who founded the chapter many years ago. So we've got a pretty good track record, but we get involved and get our hands dirty. And it's so important that from anywhere or wherever you are, sign up, get these tools. I remember when I ran for office, I said, what do I got to do? And as we've all talked about, having these trainings there is so critical. So really excited to just be an ally in this space to uplift the voices of women and girls from all walks of life. That's our job here as male allies in the feminist space, and really just proud of the National Organization for Women. And you have my full support, and I cannot wait to see how amazing this program becomes. And I'm so glad to be a part of it. And I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, John. It's so great to have you here as well. And I'm very excited about all of the work that you're doing out in West Hollywood. And that we have so much representation. I think we have all of the coasts represented here, people from all across the country. So it is my pleasure to introduce Hillary Levy Friedman, who is the president of Rhode Island chapter of NOW, and she is currently running for the Rhode Island General Assembly in 2022. She's a sociologist who teaches in the Department of Education at Brown University, and she has written 2 books. Here She Is, The Complicated Reign of the Beauty Pageant in America, and Playing to Win, Raising Children in a Competitive Culture. Hillary, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you so much. It is such a thrill to be on this call with so many amazing leaders and intersectional feminists. I am new to this candidate life, so hopefully I can bring this all together here as we move into the Q&A. But, you know, I mentioned leadership and intersectional feminism, and for me, that's really at the core of the Run Now program and why I'm so excited, both as a state president and as a candidate for what's to come over the next few months. Now, it's because of my advocacy for a particular feminist issue that I started to see a path to run for office myself. In 2019, here in Rhode Island, after fighting for years and years, a coalition of organizations came together to codify Roe versus Wade into state law through the Reproductive Privacy Act. It was totally an honor to get to stand behind our first female governor, Gina Raimondo, who is now Madam Secretary, of course, as she signed the bill. So clearly abortion rights are a feminist issue, but one of the things feminist candidates really need to emphasize is that all issues are feminist ones, and they're very much interconnected. So for example, I and Rhode Island Now have been very involved in gun violence prevention. Of course, gun violence is a feminist issue. Simply put, more guns put more women at risk. What about climate change? It's a feminist issue. We can't view climate action as separate from gender equality. So that word equality is at the heart of all of what we do and what I try to do every day in my life. But you know, in so many ways, I'm like so many other women. I am truly in the sandwich generation. I'm caring for young kids. My 2 very feminist sons are 7 and 9, and I have aging parents who are in their 70s. Again, there's nothing special about that, but people in society take for granted that someone like me is going to do that work. And we're frequently overlooked, not just in everyday life, but especially overlooked in the lawmaking process, as it's often just expected that we're caregivers and we'll make do. So I really think it's important for feminist candidates and elected officials to make the connection clear for others that every issue is a feminist one, so every issue really impacts us all. So here in Rhode Island, we actually have, for the first time ever, gender parity in the state Senate. And while, of course, not all of those women are totally ideologically aligned, it still is a huge accomplishment and something for us to celebrate. So I'm currently represented by fierce feminists, one of whom is exploring a run for statewide office. So in order to maintain and hopefully exceed someday that parity, we can't just let seats be vacated and filled by non-feminists who may not understand how interconnected so many issues are. Feminist candidates who campaign and fundraise, as you've heard about, to advocate for feminist issues for all, become feminist elected leaders who bring all the people along with them. They make sure others are in the room, at the table, and part of the decision-making process. My goal as a feminist candidate is to open up all the doors to all the rooms and turn on the lights, because that is how we can make real change for everyone. I know that Run Now is going to give me and my team the tools to do just that. So thank you so much again to National Now, to Monique, to Jamie, to Bear, to Christian for convening so many extraordinary feminist organizations like Emily's List and Emerge, and remarkable women and feminists like who you heard from tonight, who truly are already leaders. As we all work together to Run Now in 2022, I know that together we can say bye to the Old Boys Club and hello to the New Women's Club. So thank you so much for having me tonight, and I look forward to seeing many of you at all the trainings.
Thank you so much, Hillary. I can't wait till when I'm calling you representative or senator. She is in the middle of figuring out gerrymandering, so we don't know which side she's running for yet, but you will make a wonderful representative or senator of Rhode Island someday. And we're excited to have you join our candidate training so you can sharpen your toolkits. So that's it, guys and ladies and gentlemen and everybody. All of those who have joined us this evening, we thank you. So my last plea is please join now. Joining now, becoming a member of Now is only $35 or $40 for a year-long membership. It just depends on what state you're in. And the most valuable part of this training, I believe that will come out of this, is from June to December, you will be sitting on trainings virtually with Now members. So we are hoping and we plan and we hope for that these Now members will build a coalition of yourselves, right? There will be Now members learning how to run for office. There'll be Now members learning how to be campaign managers. And the whole vision is that those who we train to work on campaigns can then become a campaign manager for a Run Now candidate. We are hoping to, at the end of this program, offer certificates for those political operatives so that they could talk about going through this valuable training program when they're seeking other political opportunities. And we hope to have a network of Run Now participants that everybody will be able to contact each other and stay in touch. So thank you for joining us all tonight. We are very appreciative of your time this evening. Run Now is, the last thing I want to say about this, our Run Now logo is a Converse. It's a Converse sneaker with the Now logo in the place of where the sneaker brand would be. And that is a nod to Vice President Kamala Harris and fierce reproductive rights warrior Wendy Davis, and a real representation of we need you to run now. The world is changing quick, and with feminists in position of power, we can turn it the right direction. So with that, I very much appreciate your participation this evening. I'm going to drop my email here in the chat. If you have any questions about the program, please feel free to contact me. Everybody who is on this call that joins now this evening will be sending out a follow-up email to all of our members with the first 2 links to join our first 2 trainings. And as a reminder, those first 2 trainings are coming up quickly. That is the last thing I'll say. Our first training ever will be next Tuesday, June 8th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, next Tuesday, June 8th. And that will be our first training for those on the candidate track. And our second training will be Tuesday, June 15th, also at 7 p.m. And that is the first training for our campaign operative staff with Emily's List. So again, with that, we'll be communicating to the state chapter leaders and the local chapter leaders about all of our future trainings. And we thank you for joining this evening. Thank you to Christian and Bear, our president and vice president, and we hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Jamie and Monique and Bear. And I just want to thank everyone for joining tonight, all our speakers. We are excited for everyone who came out to participate with us as we thank you for joining us for this launch of this program tonight. We are really excited. We want to give a big round of applause to all of our wonderful speakers, everyone for just coming and supporting this program for the Run Now. Please be on the lookout for updates, as Jamie said, and pay attention to our social channels at National, capital N, National Now, And you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.